Welcome to Magical Moments for that ease and flow in your life. I'm Alena Chapman, your host. Okay, guys, I've got a magical nugget for you today that has come to my attention. I've been out in so many groups and meeting so many new people, which I just love to do. And I noticed something, and that is that so many people don't have their own self-worthiness. They don't value themselves. They don't love themselves, you know? And it's funny, it shows. And people don't think it shows. We think we mask it so well, but we don't. It shows all over the place. So I thought I'd take this magical nugget and talk. I want you to kind of really do a serious self-assessment. Just kind of see if you match these things that I'm saying, all right? So when you value yourself, you have this incredible center of your core down by your stomach and your abdomen. There is just this feeling of calmness, not busyness, not this weird tightness of stress, but calmness that's unshakable. And that there's no feeling of trying to appease or gain everyone's approval. You let other people live as they want to live. You don't have to change them because you don't want them to change you. You feel confident, so you don't feel like you have to try to get everything. You know, you don't have to go around chasing your tail because you know that things that are meant for you, the opportunities, the possibilities, they'll come to you. And when the time comes, yes, you will rise to the occasion, but it's not this urgent nervousness. And when you know yourself and your value, you are all of a sudden setting boundaries without having to set boundaries. Because the people who want to take advantage or want someone to pick on, they won't even come near you because they know you're not going to take it. You actually draw people who feel your confidence, your strength, and the most important thing, the freedom you feel to be the real you. When you really value yourself, you also, a wonderful added bonus, is you sleep well at night. You don't wake up in the middle of the night with that awful heart-beating anxiety thing because you know that you will be fine no matter what's going on. Now, doesn't that sound fantastic? Is it possible? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I'll tell you, most of the people that come to me, that's the first thing we have to work on. Because without that, you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in the things that you start to, when you start to tap into your inner person, that true you, the feminine, divine, the soul, you don't believe it because you don't value yourself enough. So I always have to work on this. Interesting, isn't it? It's time for you to assess that. And when you do, then you can move forward in real, not confidence, but in truth of what you need. My guest today, you are going to love. Now, she talks about the body a lot. And, she's fun. But she is a really cool expert who knows and understands how the mind, the body, and the spirit are all one. Not separate. Her name is Eva Vennari. I love that. And she's the founder and CEO of the Elevate Institute. And this is a cutting-edge health practitioner firm specializing in empowering driven professionals to take charge of their body and their health. She is the creator of Reveal Optimal Health Intensive. It is a holistic process and lets you understand exactly what your body needs to heal and rejuvenate so you can continue bringing your talent to the world while feeling great in your body. Doesn't that sound cool? With that, I'd like to bring on Eva. Hello.
Good morning. How are you, Alena?
I am doing wonderfully. How are you doing?
I'm peachy this morning. Let's just do that. The California.
I love peachy. So, peachy's good. All right. So, I would like to talk. I want to let people know, because this is a wonderful concept that I have always felt in my soul and my heart. And I want to talk about that because we've gone through COVID, we've gone through so much, and we've had science say one thing, then science says another, doctors say one thing, doctors say another. And, people are scared. And they're scared because they're only thinking one way. And I want to talk a little bit about your opinion on this and what your story, why you led to this opinion, and in healing yourself and taking the charge of yourself to begin to heal. And what does that look like?
Well, I wasn't born that way. So that's the good news, is that if you're already in a place of, I've got a lemon of a body and I can't trust it, there's nothing worse than feeling a betrayal by your body or any other part of your perceived self. Yeah. It's just, you think, oh, well, I'm just broken. I woke up this way once, and so therefore that's my life. And I kind of was like that, but I didn't know any better. I was born with a lot of imbalances and raised on things like microwave foods, and became very sick in multiple ways. And all of the ways that you're talking about holistically started with depression, moved into issues with infertility and autoimmune disorder. I went through a period of time where I was infertile. I had scarlet fever. Who has scarlet fever? That should tell you how depleted I was. And I remember being in my late 20s and just sharing with my father that here are all the things going on with me, and I'm just looking for someone to talk to, because by then the doctors are like, it's all in your head. There's nothing wrong with you,
Yeah.
And he said, you're way too young to have these many illnesses. And I said, yeah, thanks. That's not helpful. But it's true. It was so true. And at that point I just kept thinking, there's got to be something that I'm missing. And it wasn't just the one thing. It was a multitude of things. And I just held on to this I'm stubborn, right? So I have this Sicilian stubbornness in me.
So am I.
That I put it to use. And I said, there must be, if I give my body what it needs, it can heal itself. And I just clung to that, as opposed to take this antidepressant, take this painkiller, take this other drug that can help with, low blood pressure or whatever that I had going on. And that was one of the things that I had. Or take this chelation product that can get the toxins out of your body. And it just seemed like it was a smaller step. It wasn't enough. And it would get me halfway. If I tried anything,
yes,
halfway there. And it would work while I was doing the modality, whatever it was. And then as soon as I stopped, I would revert back or get worse.
Yes.
Before. And how frustrating is that?
It is very frustrating. It's like it treats the symptom, gets it under control, but then when you stop, the symptom comes back because the core of what is wrong is not cured.
Yeah. So I became intimately familiar with that little conversation right there. It's like, wait a minute. It's more important for me to get rid of this altogether than it is to cover it up, because if it festers and creates worse whatever, and at this time I didn't have the word imbalance in my vocabulary. My vernacular was very limited to whatever I was told, here, go to the doctor, he tells you what's wrong with you, you take a pill, right? That was the extent.
Yeah.
And I started to expand that idea and getting the confidence that you talk about, and like, how can I be more comfortable knowing that my body can heal whatever comes its way, because it's of the planet, it's of the earth, we are stardust, we're made up of all this stuff that is supposed to be in our foods. Well, if it's not in your foods and it doesn't get into your body, you don't have the body you need to heal. So I just started thinking that way, and I was up at blessed with insomnia, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I put in a search string of all of my different modality issues, and there are 30 different symptoms and diagnosis. Some symptoms, because a symptom doesn't become a diagnosis until you see a doctor for it, and he says, yes, that's what you have. So we'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Symptoms and diagnosis. And I just ran across this really weird article that said, if you have toxic metals, toxic chemicals that haven't left your body yet, you could feel this way. You could have imbalances that create nutritional imbalances, too much of one thing, not enough of another, in your diet, that could create this hypothyroidism issue. Maybe you're cold all the time. Maybe you have foggy thinking. Maybe you have digestive issues. And I'm just going, oh, I have all of those things. So I thought I need to do this. I need to take care of this. And so I found this mineral balancing science, and that is now what I'm a practitioner in, this science. And I applied it to myself and realized, wow, this isn't just getting me halfway. This is clearing out things for good, and I can feel the difference. I'm getting better, and a little worse along the way, because that's what healing reactions do, but better and better and better and better. And that's what did it.
You know what I find interesting? You didn't say vitamins, you said minerals. And this is a big point. Vitamins are important too, but minerals, the more we change the food, the more we rely on food that, isn't, well, we miss some of the minerals, don't we? How many minerals are people actually missing a day getting into their bodies?
That's a good question. I don't know, but I know it's a lot to create the kinds of pharmaceutical support that big pharma thinks we need. I mean, how many commercials do we see? If you have ED, if you have depression, if your depression medication isn't working, use this depression medication along with it. If you have,
yeah.
I tease. I go, look, there are points where we do need medication, and yes, use a two-pronged approach. Use Western medicines, use Eastern medicine.
Sure.
Together,
decrease the symptoms as you build the body. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do that.
I do that too. To a degree, I just know that for me, in my case, I've never had to be on a medication for the rest of my life the way that I was told I would have to be.
No, neither have I. Well, because you have to take responsibility. You have to cure the core, and I'm always doing other things. But the mineral thing has really questioned me, because I've kind of heard that buzz going around. I'm thinking, okay, so how do I know what minerals I don't have? How do I get the minerals I want? So I did a little research on my own, because I do that. And we have lost minerals because we overwork the land for farming. A lot of the minerals were in the soil. And so when we add the chemicals to kill the weeds, and a lot of the weeds are what provided the minerals to the soil to be fertile. So when we use chemicals to get rid of that, we actually have been depleting. Then the plants that are grown in that soil do not have the minerals. So the vegetables do not have the same minerals as they used to have, which makes total sense. Also, water used to have a lot of minerals in it, and yet we take a lot of those minerals out. Or we polluted it so that we have to clean the water, which then we have to take out the minerals. So this is important. I think that's why we see such an increase on top of world events, but we see such an increase in the depression and all the diseases, the autoimmune diseases especially. You never even heard about autoimmune before, the 1980s? At least I hadn't. Right. Now, all of a sudden, we've got all these autoimmune diseases. And I'm thinking to myself, as I was doing this research, I wonder if it's because we're not getting the minerals that our grandparents got or our great-grandparents got. I just wonder. I'm not a doctor. I can only wonder. But it is interesting, isn't it?
It is. And I'm not a doctor either. I just use my common sense and, like you, some research, and I put things together in ways that maybe others haven't had the curiosity to do that. I mean, you just did it, and you took the words out of my mouth as you were asking the question. I was answering it, but you were saying it. And I look at the analysis that I do, and we're talking about a biopsy of hair that I take, and it tells me what minerals and toxins are inside the hair.
Just my little old hair. I love that.
It's on its
has
way.
Everything. Yes. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I analyze those hair samples, those biopsies, if you will, then I can see clearly the correlation between the minerals that science has said is no longer in our food because it's not in our soil as much. But by the way, there's an extra little facet to that conversation about our foods. We grow them quickly, and fast growth foods, just like faster growing trees, they don't have greater roots, and therefore they're not absorbing the minerals that may actually be there.
Oh, interesting.
Longer. Yeah, so if you look at, I used to work in construction as an architectural representative, and I would recommend products. And so one of the products was wood, and we had to become very familiar with canopy care and the slow growth, family of trees, and how different they were in density and their ability to be placed in certain places on a building, inside, outside, however, and in addition to stone. And it's very interesting how much they overlap with the body and how they work. It's all of these elements and how they work in the body.
It's life.
Information. It's life.
We think we're so different. We really aren't.
We're not. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And we all are. Everything here is made up of the same things. It's just in a different recipe,
Alan Watts used to say that. You know that? Alan Watts, I don't know how many of my listeners listen to Alan Watts. He was an incredible man, but he used to say, we think we are so above, but we are made up of the very same things that rest of life is made up of. And when you really think of that, that's where the connection of the web is, meaning we are connected to all life because all life is connected to us. And that's why it's so important that we take care of all life, take care of our soil, our water, the animals, because they will take care of us, right?
Yeah. Yes. And we're the stewards of our body. Our sentient being lives in it. It is our temple. And we cannot just simply meditate our way out of a health condition.
We can't. No. We got to feed it. You got to feed it the right thing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
We try to meditate our way out of it, but it doesn't always work. We try.
Well, we still need to do both, because here's the fun thing, which can be very confusing. It's like, Eva, what are you talking about, minerals or praying? And I'm like, both, because I could give you a brand new body today and say, okay, here's a perfectly balanced body. It has no toxins in it. Go.
Yeah.
And 2 years from now, you're going to come back with the same issues. Why? Because you still think the same.
Yes.
You still have the same judgments about the same emotions that you're still experiencing with the same people, because you haven't healed your karmic issues. There's things that need to be dealt with. And then spiritually, if you came in with, and I'm going to get real woo for a minute, if you came in with an Akashic remembrance that has nothing to do with your physical life as it is right now, but maybe it's your family, maybe you inherited it. Guess what? You got to clear that. But you can't clear much of that without having a clear body. They go hand in hand. You get the foundation first, just like a building, and then you work on it.
It's very hard. It's very hard to go into even into your own divine self if you are constantly being pulled back to reality because of your health issues.
That's right.
It's very hard. And the pain and the lack of sleep and every time you go into meditation, it starts to hurt or whatever it does, right? So you can't, it all works together. You really have to take care of everything. We're here in this body. It has to be taken care of, and it has to take care of us while we're here. And we have got a separation problem. I really have done a lot of history to my family and some of the things that they had or what they did. No one really had very bad diseases. None of my relatives from the Italian side or the Irish side, well, more the Italian side, I think. I couldn't find the Irish side, but the Italian side, people didn't die of major illnesses. And people can say, well, they didn't know back then, but they knew, and, we weren't that far back. I didn't go that far back. And still, I didn't see, like my great-grandmother, she loved to collect mushrooms, and she was from Italy, and she just would walk and walk and walk in the forest, in the town, everywhere she would walk. And she just collected mushrooms and cooked from the ground, and she never got sick. She died of just plain going to sleep and not waking up. She just went, she was 90-something? Just wonderful, peaceful. And always, I never saw her not walking or not doing stuff.
Right, active. Yeah. Well, and all of these things you're mentioning, they help improve, guess what, the immune system, which loops us right back to your original question around, COVID and the fear of that. If you have lost the foundation of your body or aren't active and you're too busy trying to put food on the table with a job that's distracting you from living your life, we live to work instead of, working to live, then we end up with a body that's fragile. We're disconnected from it. And that's usually a very vulnerable place. And I think we were caught with our pants down, if you will, in with this case of COVID.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. Yeah, I said...
We've lived with fear for so long. I mean, we really have. And fear and drama, that's like a dopamine fight or flight fix on your body. I mean, the chemicals we put into our body with that worry, doubt, and fear, doesn't that has to tear us apart.
It does. And I hear a lot of I'm suffering, I don't feel good, I see family dying around me, the news says this, my president says that, whichever one was in office at the time. And there's all the propaganda around it. But when we close in and just make our personal borders of understanding our skin, then we have a moment to check in with ourselves. What am I doing to take care of my body? And anything I do take away the fear. Yes. We can actually get very, very present, and that's the biggest tip right there. If you can get present, you can stop worrying about the future, stop thinking about the mistakes of the past, and just realize, if I'm here now, I can drink my water. I can make sure that I give myself a nap if I need it. I can concentrate and give myself 5 minutes of, I'm not going to worry myself into a place of hysteria. I can let it go. And that calms and slows down the momentum of fear into certainty.
Yes.
It really does, if we give it practice. It's not going to be today. It won't be 5 days from now. It might be a month from now. But if you're persistent, you can achieve it. And especially if you filter out your other stations, all those different places I talked about where we can get information of fear. And it doesn't mean you're not supporting yourself with information. It just means that you're being discerning about it and caring more about yourself, which was your magic moment at the beginning. This is about self-care. That's the most important and vital aspect of any healing journey, is self-love.
It is self-love. Because until you feel like you're worthy of the health, you won't have it. And because you have to trust yourself. There's a level of trusting yourself in this healing. If you only trust what others are telling you, then you will always be treating just the symptom. But if you take it on yourself to also look into other ways and start looking at what is my core doing? What is everything out here is the symptom, but what is going on inside my body? Where has this originated that I am having all these trouble? Is it the worry, doubt, and fear in my head? Am I not getting the minerals? Am I not eating right? Am I eating fast food every 2 minutes? You've really got to take a look at your body, and you have to be worth it.
Yeah.
How can people find out more about this, Eve, and how can they find out more about you? Send them their hair.
Absolutely. Yeah, bring it. Not from the bottom of the drain either, please.
I know. Oh, gross. Yeah, that's gross.
I know it is a little bit. So I'll give you the website a few times in case you're driving and want to pause or just record it. Anyways, but the idea is you want to go to theelevateinstitute.com, and on there you'll find at the bottom of the page a scheduling. And if you want to find out if this is right for you, I really encourage and invite you, go ahead and book a 20-minute phone call with me. Let me listen in ways that doctors haven't for years. I'll give you a few minutes. And then I'm going to take what your experience is and see how this program applies to you, give you all the information, because sometimes doing this work you're not ready for, and that's okay. I wasn't at first either. It took me 3 years before I went, I don't think I want to take supplements like that. Well, if you take supplements that are right for your body, guess what? Things work. Things happen. So anyways, we can talk about, have an interview me. If you like me, great. Hire me. If you don't, I've got resources. And that's what the call is for, right? To answer all your questions, get those out of the way.
It is.
theelevateinstitute.com.
Elevate Institute. Wonderful. Yeah. And guys, really, and if you really want to start valuing yourself, and then you want to tap in and believe that beauty that is inside of you and that wonderful voice that doesn't criticize you, and you believe it, then you need to contact me. And I'll tell you the best way, as we get this website going and things just repercolating, go to anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. People are leaving me messages everywhere. Just go ahead and leave me a message and I will get right back with you. Well, my assistant will get right back and we'll have a 10-minute or 15-minute chat. I'd love to talk to you. I love talking to all of you. You're so smart. So just go ahead and look, and also look at the new YouTube because that's really growing like crazy. And as always, guys, it's all about that soul wisdom and that beautiful inner feminine divine that we all have, just really to grow in that confidence and strength. And as you do, then Spirit can use you as a wonderful conduit in this life. Love you all. Have a wonderful, peaceful week full of love and joy.